So was releasing an Xbox Series S this generation a mistake by Microsoft? Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about Xbox Series S, its specs and development issues that some developers have optimizing for this console. And of course, as always, there's a lot of people saying that Xbox Series S holds this generation back, which is basically bullshit. That's not really the case. And there's been quite a lot of developers saying that. But at the same time, the same developers say that there's some issues with that console, of course. And it's all about really memory, right? And I know that a lot of people think, oh, it's about the teraflops, it's about power. No, it's not, because you can always drop the resolution and whatever, or just run games at 30 frames per second. But a lot of times there's issues with memory. Now, memory itself is fine, but there's just not enough of it. At least not for games developed in a way they are being developed right now, meaning that developers are still not taking advantage of things like velocity architecture in full and things like SFS, because SFS, like I said so many times before, actually should resolve a lot of memory issues when it comes to both Xbox Series S and X, really. But like we've seen that developers are not necessarily super happy about putting the extra work just to make Xbox Series S work, if you know what I mean. If it works on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, they think, why should we bother optimizing for S and putting that extra effort in implementing these features, right? If it works on other consoles, right? Now, this will change soon when developers will start using, next-gen engines and everything, but it is what it is, guys. So the real question is, was releasing an Xbox Series S a mistake by Microsoft? And I think I would say yes and no. Okay, so I don't think that Xbox Series S and idea for that console was a mistake. Actually, it was a pretty clever thing to do because it's a cheaper alternative. Not everyone care about 4K or pretty graphics. Most people, when it comes to consoles, just want to play games. As long as they work and they look okay and they load fast and everything, I mean, that's what people really want, right? And yes, there's obviously people that want more powerful versions like Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, and that's fine. But like I said, like for many people, like paying $300 or sometimes even less when it comes to some sales, that's more than enough. And why some people may think, why should I spend $550 for that other console when I can get pretty much the same when it comes to games, really, for $300, sometimes even less. So the idea for the console makes sense, and it really makes a lot of sense from consumers' perspective, right? Me personally, I'm not necessarily a big fan of that console because of its specs, and I've been talking about specs and tech on this channel for a reason, right? I really want a little bit extra, if you know what I mean. That's why I've been playing mainly on PC, because it delivers what I paid for, if you know what I mean, really. But hey, Starfield is coming, so this is going to be the ultimate test when it comes to my PC rig capabilities, if you know what I mean. But other than that, I must say that I'm not necessarily happy about how what they delivered with that console, because when that console launched and I saw that it comes with 10 gigabytes of RAM, I said, okay, well, that's not a lot, right? But at the same time, I said, okay, so in order to really take full advantage of that console, developers will have to use these features like SFS and direct storage. I mean, generally speaking, velocity architecture, the whole, the whole of it, right? But that didn't happen, right? And I don't really want to sit here and criticize developers, because even though I'm making games myself, but like small games, small projects. By the way, I'll have some announcements about that very soon, by the way. AAA development is a different beast, right? You tackle different issues. Same issues, but different scale, I guess. And, building a big game and optimizing for Series S with only 10 gigabytes of RAM is probably not that easy. However, some of these features, like SFS, actually takes time and effort to actually implement. So, sometimes the developers, what they do, and we actually do see that a lot of times, they make game for PlayStation 5 first, and they port it to Xbox. I mean, look what happened with that horror game there was this big controversy about this horror in space shooter kind of game. Quantum Error? Yeah, that's the name of the game. So they did admit that they made PlayStation version first, right? They are smaller indie developers, so they focus on PlayStation 5, which sold better, basically makes sense. And now they ported it to Xbox, and they are, they've been accustomed to some, optimization issues, right? Things are not working as they thought. So they need to spend some extra time optimizing for Xbox, right? And Larian Studio is actually doing the same right now, right? So they came across an issue. Xbox Series S, not a lot of memory, so they have to use some tricks to actually make it work. And Microsoft is helping them out, solving these issues too. So hopefully that's going to be, they will be successful in that. Now, so obviously there's some shortcomings when it comes to this console. I guess developers would be more happy if they had more memory available. Now, obviously, right now it's too late. But I'm just curious, maybe Microsoft should focus more on supporting developers and actually. I don't know how that would work, and if that's actually even possible, to kind of teach them how to make their game better on Series S. But I guess it's difficult for Microsoft too, because, you don't necessarily know these developers' game engines. I mean, it's different when they use like some big game engine like Unreal Engine 5, right? But when it comes to these custom-made engines, I guess it's a learning curve for both teams, for both Microsoft and developers of a game, because Microsoft is there to show them how to implement certain things, but it doesn't necessarily always fit that particular game engine, if you know what I mean, right? And a good example is mesh shaders, right? I mean, mesh shaders requires like a total overhaul of the whole GPU pipeline, right? So that's like writing almost the whole renderer again, right? Almost from scratch, because it's a different paradigm. And I would imagine like that implementing SFS is a bit easier, but still probably time consuming. So I personally am not really a big fan of Xbox Series S myself, but I understand why it exists. Was Xbox Series S a mistake? Probably not, but I think that Microsoft needs to step up to the plate and support developers, I guess. And I guess they are doing that right now with Larian Studios, for example, and Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not sure about Quantum Error game. They are small developers, so who knows? I mean, I guess you have to reach out to Microsoft for them to actually help you. I don't think that Microsoft would actually just reach out to every single developer that have dev kit and say, oh, how can we help? I guess developers know that, and so my understanding is that, hey, if you've got a game that works on PlayStation and then you port it to Xbox and it works on Xbox Series X, that's fine. Then they just optimize and cut stuff out from Xbox Series S version. If it works, it works. That's the way it's been done for the last 2.5 years, really, right? But then you come across some unique titles that have a bit unique requirements, I guess, and then that's where Microsoft just have to step up and help developers big time. So, and they are kind of doing that right now, but so we'll still have to wait and see how Baldur's Gate is going to play on Xbox when it comes out next year, probably. But it is what it is. Game development is not easy. I guess designing a console is not easy too, because when it comes to PC, you just throw all the most expensive parts and you're done, right? Hey, it works. I'm talking about new games. But when it comes to consoles, these engineers have to balance, price and performance, and they have to figure stuff out, how to make a box perform well and be pretty cheap at the same time. So that's not an easy task, that's for sure. So yeah, Xbox Series S is actually not that bad. What I would say is that I think people get too excited about development hurdles. Now, I don't want to downplay the importance of ease of development for a particular platform. We all remember what happened with PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Even though Xbox 360 was less powerful, it actually performed better in a lot of games because it was easier to develop for and easier to optimize, right? While PlayStation 5 was a nightmare to do, to optimize and to code for. It was just more work. But hey, developers actually figured out at the end, towards the end of the generation, how to optimize well for PlayStation 3 too. It took them a while, sure, but they got there. And I think the same will happen with Xbox Series S. Obviously, we still don't know how long this generation is going to be. There's been some interesting ideas about what may happen with Xbox soon, but we'll see. I think that developers will just have to, I'm afraid, spend some extra time optimizing for Series S, and I can actually see Xbox Series X actually benefiting from that, because if you optimize a game to run it well on Xbox Series S, it will run even better on Series S, right? Because most of these optimizations will actually apply to Xbox Series S performance too. So, hey, optimizing for Series S, you are actually optimizing for Series X too at the same time. I mean, to a degree, because there's certain settings and stuff that graphics features, I guess, which are possible on Series S and not necessarily on Xbox Series S in certain games, because it may be too demanding, basically. So guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.